If you want to understand the crown, do not begin with the man who wears it. Begin with the man it refused. Begin with the moment it chose silence while I stood outside my father's grave. I remember the iron gates, black, cold, immovable. They did not feel like metal, they felt like judgment. Beyond them, they lowered my father into the earth with all the dignity they could give a king, but not a son, not me. I called him father, they called him sovereign, and somehow their word mattered more than my blood. That is the crown. Not gold, not glory, not sacred power, denial. It denies without apology because the crown does not remember men. It remembers order, it remembers structure, it remembers itself. They will tell you it is constitutional, restrained, bound by law. They speak of law as if ink can make power innocent. But I have lived under that law, and I have lived outside it. I know what it protects. Not the man, the system. It protected the ceremony, it protected the image, it protected my brother. But it did not protect me, and it did not protect my father from becoming more symbol than flesh. A man who spends his life inside the crown does not die as himself, he dies as a role. They bury him still wearing it. I watched them do it. I watched them lower him into the ground wrapped in symbols that meant everything to the kingdom and nothing to the son they kept outside the gate. So do not speak to me about duty. I've seen what duty demands. It takes the man and leaves the mask. My brother wears that mask now perfectly. They placed the crown on his head, and the room exhaled. Stability, continuity, order. They saw strength. I saw surrender. Not weakness. My brother is not weak. He is something far more useful to them. He is obedient. And in a system like ours, obedience is mistaken for virtue. But I have never believed that power belongs to the man who accepts it without question. I have lived what happens when you refuse. Exile is not distance, it is erasure. It is waking in a place where your name has no weight, where your past becomes irrelevant, where identity dissolves into survival. It is cold rooms, empty tables, faces that smile while measuring what little remains of you. It is hunger, not only for bread but for recognition. And yet, I lived. Without the crown, without the palace, without their permission. That is when I learned what they never intended me to know. The crown is not necessary. It is maintained by belief, by fear, by repetition, by men who accept their place because they have never imagined life outside it. But I have lived outside it, and I returned. Not because I was welcomed, not because I was forgiven, but because I refused to remain erased. When I walk back into that cathedral, when the whispers followed me through stone and incense, I understood something. I was no longer merely outside the system. I was above its illusion. Once you see the crown clearly, you cannot return to worshipping it. The crown is not sacred, it is constructed, built carefully, protected, deliberately, reinforced constantly. But anything built can be altered, anything maintained can be disrupted. That is what they fear. Not noise, not rebellion, understanding. Because understanding removes reverence. My brother protects the crown. He believes in its necessity. He carries it as if it is a burden he must endure. I see something else. I see its dependence, its fragility, its hunger for obedience. That is the difference between us. He serves it. I study it. He preserves it. I understand it. And understanding is far more dangerous than belief. The crown denied me, it humiliated me, it stood between me and the only man I ever called father. And now it expects me to accept my place. The spare, the second, the unnecessary. But I have lived too long outside its reach to return as what it named me. I am not here to serve the crown. I am not here to protect it. I am here because I have seen what it is capable of. Let them polish it. Let them defend it. Let them pretend it is permanent. I know where it fractures. I know what it fears. And this time, they will not find me standing outside the gates. This is The Prodigal Spare, a novel by AD Hallis.